Hey everyone, it's Daria. Welcome back to my channel Full of Lit, and today I want to talk to you guys about some popular books that I have absolutely no desire to read. It's been a while since I've done a book tag, but I saw this one going around and I just thought it looked like too much fun to pass up. And it is the anti-TBR tag. I will be leaving the original video in the description below. And I don't usually tag people when I do these kinds of videos, but if you are watching this and you have a channel or just want to do this tag, you can take this as me tagging you. The first prompt is a popular book that everyone loves that you have no interest in reading. This one's a pretty easy answer for me. It is The Raven King, and pretty much the entire Raven Cycle by Maggie Stiefvater. The fans of this series are so die-hard, and there's a really great attachment that a lot of people have to the characters in this book. Just like me, you can have never read this book and you'll still have heard of Gansey, Blue, Adam, Ronan, and I'm the kind of person who very much enjoys character-driven novels, but for some reason, I just have no interest in this series at all. I have attempted to read just the first page of the first book, and I find myself getting so bored and so confused. Maggie Stiefvater's writing is that kind of writing that it's very pretty to read, but I feel like you never actually know what's happening. I love flowery language and detailed prose, but if I can't figure out what is literally happening in the book because your writing is so confusing, then that just doesn't work for me. I would much prefer clean, simple prose. That actually leads me very easily into the second prompt, which is a classic book or author that you have no interest in reading. I had a couple options for this one, but I decided to go with Ulysses by James Joyce. I have actually read parts of this work because you cannot escape it as an English major. You just can't. And believe me, I've tried. The prose and style of writing is stream of consciousness, and it's to the point that once again, I really had no idea what was happening, and it was just a frustrating experience just trying to get through those small passages I had to read for classes. This book is regarded as one of the greatest pieces of fiction in the world, and yet that's not enough to ever get me to read it. I also don't think I've ever met someone who genuinely enjoyed this book. I feel like the only reason people read and finish this book is just to be part of this like exclusive club of people who have read and finished this book. Like they didn't even like it, it's just an accomplishment to have finished it. I don't know, I may be wrong, and if Ulysses is your favorite book of all time, or even just one of them, I would really like to know why. The next prompt is an author whose books you have no desire to read, and this was a pretty easy answer for me, and it is Stephen King. Now, right off the bat, I am not a fan of horror. I am so easily scared. And also, I feel like he dominates that genre so much that it's almost put me off of him. Part of me is sitting there and I'm just thinking, damn, can't someone else get a shot? Like, I feel like anytime I talk to someone about horror recommendations, they always recommend Stephen King, and it's like, I want something else. Give me something new. Not to mention, the only book of his that I have attempted to read was It, and then I very quickly find out that there is an orgy scene between actual children. And I really think that was enough for me to decide that I will never read a Stephen King book. The next prompt is an author you've read a couple books of and you've just decided that their books are just really not for you. And for me, this has to be Rainbow Rowell. I have read Fangirl, which I absolutely loathe. I read Carry On, which I really liked. And then I read Wayward Son, which I was extremely disappointed by. So I'm 2 for 3 not liking her books, and I just have no desire to read any more from her. I've looked into her other books, and Attachments seems kind of creepy based on the premise. This dude is reading personal emails and falling in love with someone. Like, that's weird. That's not cute. As for Eleanor and Park, I feel like I don't even have to say anything about that book. Like, it's just, no thank you. Next, we have either a genre that you have no interest in or a genre you tried to get into and just couldn't. I truly have no desire to read any science fiction at all. The only sci-fi books I've read, which I incidentally really liked, was by Octavia Butler, and I think that's really as much as I can take from that genre. Every genre has its tropes and its tried and true plot lines, but there's just something about sci-fi and its tropes that just really put me off and I don't find interesting at all. The questions that science fiction tries to answer about humanity, why we are the way that we are, what makes us human, I just think that those questions are tackled in in a much more interesting way in other genres. The next question is a book you've bought but will never read, and for me, the answer has to be Restore Me by Tahereh Mafi. I actually feel really bad about this one because it's signed and I met the author and she's just so sweet and a real inspiration to me as an Iranian author. I read the Shatter Me trilogy and I enjoyed it. It was fast-paced and fun, but I just really have no desire to read any of the other books. I feel like it ended on a pretty satisfactory note and I don't really have that much investment in any of the characters to continue. And I've also seen that a lot of actual fans of the series were disappointed by the later installments, which just shows me that there's no reason to read the rest of the books. Next is a series that you have no interest in reading or a series that you DNF'd. I recently DNF'd the Legacy of Orisha trilogy. I read the first book, I enjoyed it. The romance really killed it for me though. In fact, the romance almost caused me to knock down my rating of the book because I felt like it was just so unnecessary, and not only that, it actually derailed certain characters' development and plot lines. And funnily enough, almost immediately after finishing the first book, I went into the second one so that way I wouldn't be confused and I would remember all of the characters and the plot and it would all be fresh in my mind. But then I'm reading the first few chapters of the second book and I realize that didn't help at all because I don't know what's happening. I don't remember the characters, I don't remember what's going on, what the problems are, and the romance is still alive and kicking, and I just thought, you know what? No, it's not for me. It really hurt me to do that because I don't like DNFing, but it had to be done. And finally, a new release that you have no desire to read. For this one, the answer has to be Blood and Honey by Shelby Mahurin. I read Serpent and Dove and I enjoyed it much like everyone else. I think that I definitely rated it higher than I should have in the heat of the moment. I think the enemies to lovers aspect of the story just clouded my better judgment. But looking back on it, there really wasn't anything that special about this book plot-wise. And having some time away from this book, I realized that even the romance really wasn't that great. And I've also seen that a lot of people severely disliked the second book. So I just have absolutely no reason to read it. So that's it for me today, you guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment down below. Let me know what you thought of the books and authors that I chose, if you're outraged, if you absolutely agree with me, whatever it is. I'd love to know. All of my social media links can be found in the description below, so go ahead and check those out if you would like. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye!